Skateboarding is such an interesting sport, isn't it? It looks so cool and weightless if someone is really good at it, but if you've ever stood in a skateboard yourself, you just know how difficult and time consuming it can be to simply learn the basics. I've been skating ever since I can remember, but I've never really gotten good at it. I almost completely stopped for about 4 to 5 years or so, and I've just recently gotten back into it a couple of months ago. I've always been fascinated about it though, even during the times I didn't skate actively. I like skating so much I even got an electric skateboard last year and made it my main vehicle for commuting in combination with public transportation. Of course, I'm not the only one who feels like this. There was a time when skateboarding was really blooming in all forms of mainstream media.
He's on the roof! No! Stop!
It was often featured in movies and TV shows, and of course everyone's favorite medium, video games. Especially during the PlayStation 1 and 2 era, skateboarding was such a big deal that it kickstarted one of the biggest franchises ever to exist, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. But ever since, the interest in skateboarding games has slowly declined over the years, and nowadays it's nowhere near as relevant as it used to be. But that doesn't mean that there weren't any good skateboarding games anymore. Just recently, a remake of the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 games released, and with some other brand new IPs releasing recently, I thought it would be the perfect time to take a look back at some of those games and what kind of an approach they took to realize the sport as a video game. For this comparison, I picked 3 different categories and will compare them to the real sport just to see how each one represents different aspects of skateboarding in different ways. I picked one game franchise to represent each category. So, without further ado, let's get started. In the arcade category, we got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Like I mentioned earlier, the series is already pretty old. It originated in the 90s and came out just after video games transitioned into 3D. Since video games up until this point were still heavily influenced by their old arcade game roots, it made sense for Tony Hawk Pro Skater to become an arcade game. Right from the start, you're being greeted with pumping music and an action-packed Pro Skater montage. Montage? Is it a montage? Wait. Montage, yeah. Right from the start, you're being greeted with pumping music and an action-packed Pro Skater montage. And this pretty much sets the tone for the entire game. Tony Hawk Pro Skater is about crazy tricks, high scores, and long combos with a strict time limit. If the only thing you knew about skateboarding was those epic montages, this is the game you would make. The controls are simple and easy to learn, but the results are insane. With the press of a button you can do ollies, flips, grinds, grabs, lip tricks, and the list goes on. Only the more advanced special tricks require more complex inputs. On top of that, the games don't have any story or narrative at all. You're progressively going from level to level doing simple objectives like high scores, collecting objects, doing combos, etc. And only every couple of stages there are competitions which feel at least a little closer to what would resemble a real skateboarding competition. It's not about what specific tricks you do though, but more about how much you can do in a short time. But other than that, the game is more about being completely nuts than representing actual skateboarding. I mean, you can skate in a canyon, an abandoned mall, on rooftops, Area 51, aliens? The game isn't completely delusional of skateboarding though. There are tons of customization options like the look of your skater and your board, including deck graphics and wheels, and it just got crazier and crazier the longer the series went on. And that's also probably one of the reasons why the games got so popular to begin with. Next up in the casual category we have none other than the EA Skate series. Right when we felt like the Pro Skater series was getting stale, Skate knocked on the door and greeted us with a completely different approach. Gone was the timer-based arcadey gameplay, with that came more emphasis on story and characters, world building, a more realistic physics system, and a, even though unconventional, more precise control scheme. Instead of pressing a button to do a certain trick, the player now uses the right analog stick to input small combinations resulting in different tricks. For example, a kickflip is performed by putting the right stick down and flicking it over to the sides. A shove it can be performed by rotating the stick 45 degrees. And just like in real life, you can combine these two motions to do a varial kickflip. Missions and objectives now revolve around doing certain tricks across certain obstacles or gaps, instead of the ordinary point and combo challenges from before. The player can also get off the board now and move certain objects to aid him with different challenges. Objectives also usually come with small story introductions with recurring characters and motivations. So a normal do a trick challenge is now a photo shooting. And the introduction of a new spot is now a game of skate with some friends. None of it is groundbreaking though, but all of it is setting the tone perfectly. And the attitude that you would expect from skaters is perfectly represented in these games.
Dude, just give him one more try. I promise he's gonna land. Look, how many one mores does he need? You're over. You're done.
Yo, dude, calm down, man. All I need is one more try.
Oh, by the way, did I mention that the games have open worlds instead of individual levels now? So essentially the player can go skate wherever and whatever, as long as he has the skills to do so. Just like a skater would in real life. Of course you're not allowed to skate wherever you like to. So cops and securities will at times try to prevent you to do so, which only helps to make the world feel even more believable. If Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was the cool kid on the block with its absolute madness, over-the-top presentation and adrenaline-injecting gameplay, EA Skate was the new mysterious guy in town, with way more down-to-earth gameplay and more emphasis on characters and everything else that's surrounding the skateboarding scene. So if you're not that much into the gameplay itself, the game has still plenty to enjoy in the character, story and world-building department. And that leads us right into the third and last category, the simulation.
I try to look for goodness even when I see bad. I've seen some souls be friendly, I've seen some feet get loose. I've had some people in my life who know just what to do. I try to look for goodness even when I see bad. When I made my first beat tape.
Representing this category will be Session, a skateboarding game that is still very early in development but is already showing some pretty promising results. So what makes this game a simulation exactly? Well, if it was only for what you can see on screen, it doesn't look all that different to, let's say, Skate, but the biggest difference is in what you can't see. For example, the controls have yet again become more complex and even less intuitive. Steering has been removed from the left analog stick to the left and right triggers. Yeah, crazy, right? But why on earth would you do that? Well, it's simply because both sticks are now used to perform tricks, each one representing the corresponding foot of the skater. Left stick left foot and right stick right foot. And that means that performing tricks now is now even more complex, but even more precise as a result. A kickflip, for example, is performed by putting the back foot stick down, which puts pressure on the skateboard tail, and flicking the front foot stick off to the sides to kick the board in the air. On the other hand, a pop shove it can be done by yet again putting the back foot stick down and spinning it 90 degrees before pushing the front foot stick up. I know, it sounds ridiculous, but it makes perfect sense when you think about it. That finger spaghetti is actually pretty accurate to the foot acrobatics you would have to do in real life. On top of that, precision is key. If you want to land a grind, for example, you have to perfectly align your board with the rail and do the corresponding inputs with the sticks, and if you're not precise enough, you will bail. But even aside from that, everything is trimmed down to be as realistic as possible. The width and height of the trucks, size of the wheels, width of the board, it all affects how certain tricks behave. For example, wider trucks make it easier to lock into grinds, or loose trucks in combination with bigger wheels can cause wheel bite when trying to do sharper turns. When it comes to the gameplay itself, there's actually very little to do, yet so much freedom to do whatever. Just like in real life, there aren't really any goals, challenges or story. You have certain maps of varying sizes to explore and you can do pretty much whatever you want. There are some smaller challenges as of right now which let you unlock certain cosmetics and skate gear, but aside from that it's just you and your board. On top of that, there are tons of real-world skate spots in the game for you to skate at. The Brooklyn Banks, New York City Pyramid Ledges or Elias Coleman Skate Park, to just name a few. If you want to learn the basics of the game and start doing some awesome tricks, you're gonna have to grind for it, just like in real life. And when you finally have the skills and you want to do more complex tricks, it's pretty much trying over and over and over again until you finally get it. Fortunately, there are lots of settings to make the game easier in case you're struggling with certain tricks, Or you can make the game even harder if you feel like it's still too easy. You sick fucks. If there's something about the physics that you feel like is a little bit off, there's full control over everything. Gravity, friction, pop height, turning speed, the list is long. So you can customize your skating experience completely to your liking. On top of that, you can place certain objects pretty much everywhere. So if you feel like a certain spot needs a rail or a kicker, you can just add it. There you go. Alright, we went from the arcade that resembles the insanity of pro skating in an arcade fashion to the casual games with their focus on story and world building to capture the skater lifestyle, all the way to the simulation with its emphasis on realism and the resemblance of struggling to get better in the sport. And I know, there's way more to say about these games, but I didn't want to make this video any longer than necessary. So, what are your thoughts on the topic? If you haven't played any of those skateboarding games yet, which of these sounds the most appealing to you? And if you have, which skateboarding game is your all-time favorite? And most importantly, what direction do you think should skateboarding games take in the future? Let me know in the comments. If there's any other games you want me to talk about, let me know. Also, I stream pretty frequently on Twitch now, so if you want to have a good time and watch me play some games, feel free to leave a follow.
They are easily fought with a great time, just saying.
Shit, I'm dead. Never mind, I'm still alive.
Never mind, you're dead.
Oh, never mind, I'm dead.
Wait, never mind, you're still alive?
My Instagram is also fairly interesting if you want to check that out. Other than that, I see you guys and gals in the next video and wish you all a great day. Have a good one. Bye bye.